What's up, everybody? I'm back again. I decided to pause the Funko videos for now. We're gonna get back to them. I wanted to take this video to express my love for statues in general. Just anime statues, dynamics, the design behind them, by the means of expressing my love for the art form and all of the challenges behind it. Ever since I decided to start designing Funko Pops, for example, with ones like the Epic Gojo one I touched on in the last video, I've been so interested in how to create a composition around a 3D model, a statue. Like, how do you take a 2D composition, form it around a three-dimensional statue, almost mostly based off one angle? So, I mean, purposely designing a statue to be viewed at one angle, at one very specific angle, for like several years now. Have really loved doing that and really have found so much fulfillment in creating art that way. That fulfillment has led me to do multiple projects, such as Inktober 2023, I think. 2023. I designed 31 statues. I never really know what Inktober prompt list I'm gonna go with. I started out with the Jake Parker ones, and then I started kind of exploring different ones like Art Germs and Witchtober or whatever was one of them. Last year and the year before, from 23 and 24, I tried my hand at designing 31 statues a day for both years. But with all those Inktober 2023 designs that I came up with that were based off of statues, I put them in a little book. So real quick before we get into designs of statues that have like inspired me and made me fall in love with the art form, I wanted to go through this book real quick. And as you open it, you can see I have all 31 listed here. I did one each day. I did 32 actually, and the 32nd one was a kind of like a statue of my whole family. This is when my son was 1. Got my 2 cats in the background. Got my wife. She's looking at some Pokemon cards. She's got a little bit of a smirk going on, looking at her epic Pokemon binder. Oh my god! So these were all the 31 statues I did. You can see I started off with Sincerely Elise, the 2 main characters of the comic, Liz and Ava, and basically what would be my attempt at giving both of these characters like the most dynamic statue I could. And I really loved the idea of Liz's like jacket blowing off in motion. Something that I really love about making statues in general that I've like really tried to like wrap my head around and understand is basically how to reflect motion inside of like a still object. And I feel like the more motion that you're able to convey, almost the more convincing it is to the consumer's eye that like it's a just generally a cooler statue. To me, anything in motion, any sort of artwork in motion is just like exciting and fun for me. It's just so cool. I love dynamics. I love perspective. I love statues. 1 second so I can show you real quick. But okay, look. I'm going to be looking at this screen. So you got Goku. You got Goku. Basically the Nimbus is starting where the city is. The city is right here. You can see it. It's very small. It's very small. They're forcing the perspective to really show that Goku is coming all the way from the city, and they got this dinosaur, and it's like this is like one of the coolest statues that I think I have, is the ability to force all this perspective. You could see it's like a slab of plastic that just kind of reflects the clouds in the background. It's kind of tilting it down a little bit. You could see that they're really coming from this whole city with a freaking like sea back here, and in reality it's this little piece. The mountains just continuously get bigger and bigger and bigger until they get to the front. So little tiny details like this where you're able to capture a little freaking tiny tunnel in the distance. Look at that. You could see me right through the hole. That's crazy. Like in practice, the design of the statue was meant for him to be flying from the city all the way up to this dinosaur. It's beautifully reflected with forced perspective, and you got this acrylic piece keeping Goku up in the back of the mountain. You can't even see it barely. The way they like hide it in the background here is so freaking smart. I don't even know who designed this statue, and it makes me upset. I wish they could just put the artist's name on like the bottom of the statue or something. How it kind of frames Goku and the dinosaur with the mountains here both coming up from each side. This was like one of the moments that I looked at a statue and realized like you could really play with a lot of details to really bring out the story, you know. So put that back in front of my really sick Color Reaper original. Go Color Reaper Legend. So when you get to the Legend of Zelda statues, you can see I really played with the use of arcs and like his spin and like basically trying to frame his frame him within his spin. This one I was really proud of because any statue that has the main subject of the statue being suspended in air using something else that's keeping them up is like, oh my god, my favorite feature ever. It's so creative and so clever how you could, if you could just get that character in the air in some sort of clever way, 9 times out of 10, probably about to buy it. This is probably one of my favorite statue designs out of this whole entire book. So the idea here was to try to do like a half pipe type of composition where you got the hands coming down and you've got the freaking thing crashing in. It all kind of points down into this goblin here that's getting completely cooked by both of the hoverboard and the doom eyes and everything. So Mitsuri was one that I was like really excited about as well because you could just take the sword and like you're just creating a whole nice arc there. And my favorite detail that I thought of and just came to me was to just like take some of the base with it. And anytime that you're able to see the character interacting with the base directly, it just adds a little bit more story, a little bit more detail, a little bit more niceness. This one had like an interesting sort of composition. Wanted to like get your eye to like follow her whip and then follow her tail into the star. I try to look for interesting paths that I can create in my statue designs that kind of like keep your eye wandering around it when you're looking at it. Another arc here with Mirko's kick, telling you that the kick started here, ended here, interacting with the base, creating some debris. Oh my gosh, you already know how much I love debris, but yeah. Jumping through the blood arc that he's creating, and you got some extra sort of smoke spire pieces. Felt like a good composition that kind of framed the character really nicely with this whole circular border for him, and he's also breaking through the composition with his leg coming this way. I was really happy with this one. Again, I was trying to go with the arc that frames the character, and you start here with the little smoke, comes up around, you get the ha ha ha, messing up a playing card deck, and then the playing cards are like kind of each plugged into the spire. Like this would be a crazy expensive statue. Like each little card being keyed into that like one little swipe. I don't even know how it would be made. I did this one before I even started watching One Piece, so I just really love, as I was discovering Luffy and his like stretchy abilities, I really loved that. Some tweaks I would make, like I think I would try to make the base more a rubberized type of floor. But now that I know that that's a thing that can have, like maybe him slapping and the base is just like a ripple, like rippling. Again, it kind of plays on the same idea as the Chainsaw Man, where we're using blood as a frame for the character. So you could see she's basically assassinating a faceless goon, pretty much. What if Goku was mid Kamehameha and just like basically shooting himself into the air and being propped up by that? I think I would like try to create a bit more of a cohesive sort of arc here, like maybe make the backsplash of the blast create like a more like bluish C shape that could kind of help frame them a little bit more. Now that I've run you through this little project that I've done, I want to take you and show you some of the statues that basically awakened this love within me for compositional, immersive statue that basically keeps your eye following a path all the way around the character and framing the character itself. And so, let's move on. Look at some of the statues that inspired me. I do actually have one statue that I own that to me is like literally the coolest statue in the whole world. The design for this Kotobukiya statue blows me away. You can kind of see the silhouette here. Has got to be like one of the best designed statues ever, in my opinion. It uses so many fun details to its advantage regarding motion and balance and everything. And this base here comes apart. And you can customize the little literal film however you want, as you then place Sadako on the top of the base with the tiniest little plug that is still able to achieve her balance. And on top of all that, you could take one of these little strands, play around, pull some of it, decorate it with the strand to add a little bit more character to it. There's a couple floating VHS tapes. The addition of the 2 VHS tapes alone is just showing you that she's almost in like a vortex of levitation that is just like making things fly up. Like you could keep playing around with this and kind of hang it around her hair and everything. Like with the hair, you could see that beautiful sort of translucence coming. It's like a more gradual transition to gray down to the tip. Something even more crazy about this base is that the little windows in the VHS tapes are actually real. I'm not even kidding you. Like, look at these little windows. You literally can see inside of them. It's like you didn't have to go that far, Kotobukiya, but you did, and I recognize it, and I respect the amount of detail that you put into this thing. This is literally a 10 out of 10 statue. That's just what it is. It's facts. And don't even get me started on the other pieces. What came with her was a little accessory box. It comes with 2 faces that you could plug in to her statue, as well as 2 more reels of film if you so happen to mess up the film that's currently being posed with. And once you get those puppies tuckered in, you close this shit and look. It just looks like a little VHS tape. So I could like take it up and pose it with Sadako, and instead of like having a bunch of like stupid little accessories inside of a little baggie in my drawer that is just annoying and getting bigger and bigger, I can actually pose the accessories with my fantastic statue. That's another like 10 out of 10 point to the design, just like making the accessories matter inside of a packaging that like is so freaking sick that it just literally passes as something that could also be displayed with it. Well, you got me freaking fucked up with this box art design. I want to show you this box art design and how amazing it is, dude. They use the 2D concept art as basically the front of the box. And they also use it again on this side. It even has the little tapes base redesigned on the statue to be more of a pyramid shape, but you still get the idea. There's the 2 floating VHS tapes that are keyed into her. There's the idea of taking the film and wrapping them around her leg. You got the 3D render on the back that's basically showing you what the full statue looks like with her faces. Fun like glam shot. The freaking credits stylized by Shunya Yamashita. This right here is a 10 out of 10 packaging as well. In my eyes, the whole figure is a 10 out of 10. The build up to the release of this figure slowly released like development notes, stories and everything about the figure with some concept art. And it was just like the coolest rollout of a statue I've ever seen. I felt like I was just with them the whole way as they were talking about it. And when it came out and came to my door, I busted this thing out and I had the best time of my life. So I'm not usually a collector of waifu statues, but this one very much spoke to me. After I showed you my statues book, you could see why it spoke to me. You've got the backpack levitating in the air. Mother flippin' phone right here, just plugged right in by the smallest little plug, bringing the debris around her, just like all of her accessories, framing her, just literally suspended on at one single point. The motion in her hair is very convincing. I love the base, how it's like cracked. Just truly reflects her quirk in the best way, and that's why I bought this statue. Sometimes I like to create statues with other statues, like right behind me, there's an Exodia pop-up parade, and under that is I think like either SH Figure Arts or Good Smile, like posable version of a Yugi. And so together, I've like put them together. Now is a good time to dive in and show you some of the statues that truly inspire me, statues that I have yet to buy because I don't have the money to buy them, but I still gaze at them with love using the internet. Thanks to the internet, I get to enjoy these designs. It's kind of hard to find the designers of these designs, but I'm just going to talk about these statues and hopefully impart on you some excitement for just the love of creating statues and the designs behind them. So my first statue is this Deku statue. You get the sound effects kind of wrapping around the statue while the rest of all of the quirk effects are kind of framing up Deku. Kind of read it here using these main 2 arcs kind of coming up and coming around into sort of a G type of shape slash letter. You got some of the outer world being crushed under the weight of Deku's amazing move. Look at this sign right here, just completely bent. So is this little stupid metal plate thing. Deku's out here just crushing shit around him. You also have another effect kind of circling his flick attack. Deku's hair is really interesting because I always love to see how companies paint Deku's hair, mainly because as in the anime, it's just black ink with green highlight. Most statues just try to go with the like the sprayed black roots with the green tips, which I think is usually, that's a pretty good Deku application, I'd say. At least it's not one color. The Gojo Shibuya Scramble, don't even get me started with how the liquid is like forming around an invisible ball and also really just like framing Gojo beautifully. The base here is just doing amazing things to me, you guys. It's just the way that these dark blue tips, and then as it goes into the center, it maybe is translucent. It looks translucent, almost looks like that shit's lighting up, but I can't tell. It's the most realist liquid I've ever seen in my life. And I just love this as a base because it's just such a beautiful way to portray Gojo's power. Good story. Love the mask. Love that it's like a whole extra piece that he's pulling off. Love Gojo's hair. You already know how much I feel about Gojo's hair. Shibuya Scramble statues in particular are just like absolutely goated when it comes to designs. Every single Shibuya Scramble let me bring them. They are framing their characters nicely. Look at this beautiful Ghetto right here. Freaking image in new tab, you guys. Look at this. I did not even know about this one. This one is crazy. It's like his whole power is just hugging him. You got his foot just submerged in this like darkness. Oh shit, and it's all swirling into that little beautiful ball. My God, such a good design. Shibuya Scramble does it again. Oh, we got my guy Panda doing an arc frame, dude. He's bringing the sand with him. This is kind of a oh, it's ReZero. See, they brought in the sign from the Deku statue. I don't actually know what's going on here. Is this part of the figure? I don't think this part is this is part of the figure. Oh wait, that spray is actually part of the statue. Dang. Now this statue is storytelling, dude. And she's like in the middle of skating by while leaving some sort of tagging in the foreground. So it's almost like the tag in the foreground is meant to be a wall, but instead we're just seeing through the wall to see what she's tagging. That is crazy. Shibuya Scramble yet again. Any sort of mid-movement, mid-action type of motion, I just love. Like taking a cloak off, putting a cloak on, putting on a watch, tightening a tie, painting their nails, or adding lipstick. Like all of anything that's like an action that's happening in motion for me is like a nice candid pose. You got the character being framed by their two arcs, but then this amazingly beautifully sculpted swirl portal thing. And another thing that I love about bases is if the base itself basically propping up a much bigger figure above it. If you don't know what Figure Art Zero is, I don't know what to tell you, bro, but these guys are like on top of their game with creating immersive bases with characters posed on them. You would just start with Trunks slicing Frieza in half. We all know about Trunks slicing Frieza in half, you guys. At this point in the video, you kind of understand how much I love how movement frames a character. And this is just like a perfect execution of it. The motion of the sword coming all the way around, framing Trunks beautifully and slicing the top of Frieza's head off. Beautiful representation of such a cool scene. You gotta love the burst framing Okarun. He's being lifted off by the smoke clouds. Now, it's things like this that really break out of the dimension of realism. My heart skips a beat when I see. You're really playing with a medium that is supposed to be 2D and just like really bringing it into the 3D world. And then Instamashi did it again with this freaking Goku frame, dude. It just really celebrates the piece of art that it's representing. Love when you get a statue that you can hang on the wall so you don't have to waste shelf space. They kind of like sculpted his hand so it's almost in motion. It's kind of interesting that they like did the forced perspective here because it's such a close angle that it's just kind of interesting that there's supposed to be a little background element of a smaller cell there. So this Ichigo right here, even though I don't really watch a lot of Bleach, that like swipe of his sword is just so beautiful. And you can see that he's like reaching out, reaching forward. I actually don't know which angle I like this more because you got in this angle, it's so much more visceral. You feel like the swipe is coming like straight at you while he's like reaching out. Ichiko, I don't really care that much about you, but I love this statue. So I'm usually going on Sideshow to look for some cool statues, get some cool inspiration. And right now, the inspiration I'm getting most, these Hearthstone cards, bro. It's almost exactly like the way the Goku is. Celebrating the character in the best way I think it could possibly ever celebrate a World of Warcraft character is through a beautiful Hearthstone frame. It's just this hard slab of just stone carved into. It doesn't feel like that little tiny kickstand in the back there is going to be able to keep it supportive, but I gotta trust it. Take the opportunity to use different card backs for each little Hearthstone card that they do. Then you got the Arthas one, which is just truly magnificent. You can see his sword is like literally coming out of the frame and breaking the silhouette of the card itself. A sick Arthas card back as well. I am just loving that they are just immortalizing cards. This is incredible. Two statues that are sold separately that create a scene that comes together. You could buy the two statues separate and they would work just alone very well, but you could also put them together and it would just create this beautiful scene, this whole basically new statue. Holy moly chicken ravioli. Flash is just warping the road below him. This is kind of clever. This is kind of clever how they have the freaking planes flying out from behind the city. It also looks like it almost arcs inward. Appreciate that base. That base is legit. This is what I'll just be doing on an average Tuesday morning. This is a statue I loved before I even knew who Kid was, where you're just really playing with the scaling of the character is just so fun. There's one Deadpool statue that I remember that I really liked too. I think that's gonna be the last statue I'm gonna talk about because I'm getting tired and looking at statues all damn day. I just love how it is painted in a shell shaded style. You got some freaking halftones going up the sound effect. Comic pages are being like casted all around. The blam blam is exploding out of a comic book. Base itself is the shadow of the figure. So just look at the path that bullet is taking out of the gun. I'll probably do another video like this in the future where I'm just loving on more statues. So I think I've talked about statues all I can tonight. I just wanted to share in my absolute love for the art, respect, and beauty that can be put into compositional 2D statues, brought into a 3D space, and enjoyed basically at one single angle. If you get the angle right, then it looks like the whole composition is working in every angle. If you get the angle right in all angles. But anyways, I'm thinking of doing designer toys next. You know, you got your Pop Marts, your Minisos, your Row Lifes, your Kaleidos Creative entering into the arena. I love designer toys all the same. I just love toys. I just love stationary little statues that could be just appreciated as a piece of art. And so that is me today bringing in propping up the beauty of art and the beauty of keeping statues on your shelf and just standing there. Sometimes I'll just stand over. Yep, I'll just be right like this over here. Look at that Exodia. Hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, please leave a comment. Tell me what your favorite statue is. What do you like putting on your shelf and just looking at and just getting inspired from? You tell me. And so with all that said, like the video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you want to see more like this one, and I will catch you in the next video.